The Cloud Painter by Demi B, 2025. In the seaside town of Larkhaven, the air always smelled faintly of salt and wild roses. The gulls called from the harbor each morning, and by afternoon, great white clouds drifted in from the horizon, reshaping themselves into whatever the day needed. A castle for dreamers, a sailing ship for the adventurous, or a sleeping cat for the tired. But on this particular summer evening, the sky was startlingly bare. Not a single wisp floated above the rooftops. The air was still, the sun sinking slowly toward the water, and everything seemed to pause, waiting for something. Tessa sat on the creaky porch steps of her grandmother's cottage, bare toes pressed into the worn wood. She liked to sit here in the quiet hours before supper, when the light turned soft and the colors of the world felt brushed with gold. Usually, she would tilt her head back, trying to guess what shapes the clouds would turn into next. Tonight, however, there was only endless pale blue, so empty it made her feel a little lonely. She sighed and hugged her knees. A sky without clouds is like a story without words, she thought. Just then, something caught her eye. From behind the sand dunes, rising into the air like a thread of silver, was a ladder. It shimmered faintly, stretching impossibly high until it disappeared into the open sky. At the base of the ladder stood a man in faded blue overalls, a soft cap tilted over his brow. He had a paintbrush tucked behind one ear and a satchel so full it bulged at the sides, glass jars clinking gently inside. The man noticed her staring and gave a small wave. "Evening," he called, his voice warm and unhurried. "Name's Oren. I'm the Cloud Painter." Tessa tilted her head. "The what?" "The Cloud Painter," Oren repeated with a nod, as though it were the most ordinary job in the world. "Every night, I climb up there." He pointed toward the endless blue. "And I give the sky its clouds. But tonight, the wind tangled my ladder, and I've lost time. Could use an extra pair of hands." She blinked, unsure if this was a dream. "You paint the clouds?" "Paint, puff, shape, smooth, depends on the night," Oren said, as if ticking off chores. "Would you like to help?" Tessa hesitated. She had never climbed higher than the low roof of the shed, and the ladder seemed to stretch forever. But Oren's smile was gentle, and the thought of leaving the sky empty for the night felt wrong, almost sad. "I think I would," she said softly. The first rung of the ladder felt cool under her bare feet, surprisingly solid for something so slender. The moment she stepped onto it, the faint smell of rain surrounded her. Oren climbed ahead, his satchel clinking gently with each movement. They rose past the weather vane, which creaked lazily in the evening air, past the lighthouse lamp that hadn't yet flickered on, and higher still, past the last cry of the gulls circling below. The air grew lighter, brighter, touched with a silver glow, until finally they stepped onto nothing. Nothing but soft, endless sky beneath their feet, as though the blue had become something you could walk on without falling. Oren knelt and opened his satchel, revealing rows of jars. Each one held something different: thick white paint that swirled like cream in tea, pale gold that caught the light, soft pink that shimmered when tilted. "Here," he said, handing Tessa a jar of white so luminous it seemed to hold its own light. "Dip your brush in gently, then sweep it into the air. The sky will do the rest." Tessa did as he said. The paint clung to the bristles like silk, and when she swept it into the air, it puffed outward, forming a perfect cloud, round and soft as bread dough rising in the sun. She laughed in surprise. "It works." "Of course it does," Oren chuckled. "The sky keeps every cloud, no matter the shape. Try making one of your own." So she painted a fish, big, with a tail that curled, and the moment she lifted her brush, it began to swim slowly across the horizon. For a while, they painted in companionable silence. Oren worked on long, lazy stretches of white that rolled into one another like ocean waves, while Tessa experimented, making a teacup, a cat curled in sleep, a small boat with a billowing sail. As they worked, Oren explained quietly, "Every cloud carries a little of the dream inside the person who painted it. That's why no two are the same. And that's why the sky never grows tired of wearing them." Tessa dipped her brush again, feeling a warm, slow happiness spread through her. The clouds moved gently away from them, as if floating toward whoever might need them most. They were nearly finished when a sudden breeze swept through, playful but quick. It rattled the ladder below and tugged at Oren's satchel. Before either of them could react, one of the jars tipped out and tumbled into the air, spinning toward the sea far below. Oren's eyes widened. "Oh dear, that's the sunset jar. Without it, the evening will close too quickly." Without thinking, Tessa set down her brush and leapt to the nearest cloud. It felt springy, almost like stepping on a pile of soft quilts. she bounded from one cloud to another, chasing the falling jar. The breeze tried to whisk it away, but she reached out, fingers brushing glass, and caught it just before it could vanish into the ocean spray. Carefully, she made her way back, the jar cool in her hands. Orin took it with a grateful nod. Well done. Now, let's give the evening its proper ending. When Tessa peered inside, she gasped. The paint wasn't white. It shimmered with layers of color, each one melting into the next. Rose pink, soft lavender, deep gold, and a whisper of violet. She dipped her brush and swept it across the air. The colors unfurled like ribbons in water, stretching and blending until the entire horizon was glowing. The clouds they had painted earlier were touched with soft gold, their edges warming like embers. The sight made her feel both happy and sleepy, the way a perfect summer day feels when it's almost over. When the last strokes were done, Orin packed away the brushes and jars. The clouds will drift where they're needed, he said, giving her a small smile. And if you ever look up to an empty sky, you'll know where to find me. They descended the silver ladder slowly, the sound of the ocean growing louder with each step. The lighthouse lamp had lit, sending its beam out over the water. At the bottom, Tessa turned back once, and there they were, the clouds she had painted, sailing lazily toward the town. That night, as she lay in bed, the moonlight slipped across her floor, and outside her window, the clouds floated exactly as she had shaped them. A fish, a teacup, a curled cat, drifting gently under the stars. And in her dreams, she climbed the silver ladder again, this time knowing exactly where each brushstroke would go.